What, in my 23-year career, I have never refused to accept a plea bargain between a prosecutor and a prisoner. Basically, I accept a plea bargain, then both sides negotiate. But when I sit here and witness that contemptuous attitude of the defendant, I say right away I will not accept your plea bargain. We are going to a trial with the jury, and if you are convicted of murder, you spend the rest of your life in prison. Only then did Dante stop, laughing, and was really confused, not understanding what was happening to him. His lawyer could only shake his head at this team-crushing client, from an arrogant attitude and contempt for everything, immediately became panicked then. Dante was convicted by the court, sentenced to 50 years old. He must serve 25 years before he can apply for parole. In other words, he must wait until he is 4 years old, at the earliest, to have a chance to be released from prison. The other two masterminds were also sentenced to 45 years in prison, sentenced to 15 years before being released. 3 prisoners are currently serving sentences in federal prisons in the U.S. Finally, thank you, Judge David Schwartz, for your impartial judgment. Return the justice that Jordan Carey's family deserves. So, do you agree with the judge's decision? Please leave your comments in the comment section of the video. I think Dante should be released at an altitude of 100 meters. Thank you for watching. Until this moment, remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest videos. Best regards. Can you believe this is the attitude in court of Dante R., one of the 3 murderers who took the life of an 18-year-old male student? Dante was only 17 years old at that time, still a minor, so he openly showed contempt when the victim's family spoke at the hearing. Dante's reckless attitude angered everyone present at the trial. How could a 17-year-old child calmly laugh at the tears of the victim's family? Then, Dante even teased the jury because he was about to return to his family. He was really arrogant. After hearing those words, Judge David Schwartz made a decision that made the whole of America applaud and praise the details of the case. Let's continue watching with us. Back in 2016, in the state of Michigan, the United States, there was an armed robbery case that resulted in the murder of the victim, Jordan Carey, who was only 18 years old and was a student at Sin University, Pioneer High School in Ann Arbor. He was also a member of the school's football team. On October 4th, 2016, when Jordan had just finished class and was about to walk home, he encountered 3 African-American youths. These 3 were all members of gangs that gathered in the surrounding areas. When they found out that Jordan was a football player for the school, they began to covet his high-end clothes and sneakers, so the 3 pulled out guns and shot poor Jordan. After Jordan fell to the ground, his belongings and clothes were all stolen. Then the boy fled the scene and was finally found by a neighbor on the road near his house. But at that time, Jordan had no signs of life anymore. The 3 suspects were quickly arrested by the police. Among the suspects, 2 of them were of legal age under U.S. criminal law, but DHE was only 17 years old at that time. Prosecutors and DHT reached a plea agreement before the trial. So first of all, please join us. Find out what a plea bargain is in the United States. The courts are mainly focused on making judgments on the defendant, who will appear before a jury to decide whether he is guilty or not. But if the prisoner reaches a plea deal with the prosecutor before the jury trial and actively admits that he is guilty, he can receive a lighter sentence or a suspended sentence without having to go through a jury trial. At that time, Dante reached a plea deal with the prosecutors because he was still a minor. He did not hesitate and admitted that he shot Jordan next. Let's go to the developments of this trial on the morning of October 4th, 2016. The indictment and the 2 accomplices, Delano and Ganos, planned a robbery, right? Yes, who was the target? Jordan that afternoon. The defendant actually attacked Jordan. Yes, the defendant used a gun to threaten Jordan and robbed the victim. Always. What did the defendant do to the victim? Jordan, with the gun mentioned above in the robbery that shot him. Nothing after Dante finished his testimony, according to the plea agreement. The victim's mother, Karen, spoke at the hearing because the victim's father passed away when Jordan was only 5 months old. So the mother and son relied on each other. To live, therefore, the relationship was very close. The death of her son became too big a shock for his mother, and she could not stop crying because the victim's mother was too sad to speak. The victim's cousin continued, "To speak, Your Honor, I am the victim's cousin named Corny Clay Ken. I was authorized by the victim's mother to speak. On her behalf, please Jordan McCree, born July 26, 1998, murdered on October 4, 2016, at the age of 18. Jordan's life ended without a future. Jordan could not choose to go to college, had no chance. To live his own life, Jordan could not continue to grow up. He did not. Never be able to love and build a home of his. Known he was robbed of that bright future. And me, I was robbed of my only child, who to me was not only a son, but also a friend, a support for this life. The fact that he was no longer there took away all my joy, as well as all my feelings I lost. The hope of having a warm family I lost both mentally and physically, and the simple joy of a normal life when my parents got old. Other people could gather around their children and grandchildren. I could only fight alone, leaving this world in solitude. I no longer dared to hope for any future, because all of those things were unreasonably and cruelly taken away my son's smile. Every time he came home, everything was just the past. He was an emotional child. Every time he came home at the end of the day, he always wanted me to be happy. He sang very well, but I will never hear again the happy times together. Watching movies at night are no longer there. Are too many things I have been robbed of lost. But I'll stop there this year. It was supposed to be a year full of celebrations, graduations, and college. But now this year has been a nightmare that no parent should have. To face every night I can't sleep, even if I'm exhausted and fall asleep in my dreams. The sound of my son's heartbreaking screams never goes away. They pull me back to the cruel reality that my son is really dead. And my son, he's gone, taken away. And for what reason? Tell me why. I really need answers. But I know no matter what you say, those words can never make up for what you took from me. There will never be any excuse for him that will be accepted. There will never be any excuse that can be justified for killing my son. How could you be so cruel to kill someone just to satisfy your own selfish desires? This is not acceptable reasons. Drugs, clothes, money, jewelry, cell phones, shoes. Do you think those things are more important than a human life? Let me tell you, no, forever. No, you should know that at least you are still alive. You can still wake up every day, your life still goes on. Right now, I sincerely hope that the thing you wanted so badly to kill my son today will be something that for the rest of your life you feel worthy. I hope you will never be able to have children because you took my child away from me for the first time in my life. I feel a deep hatred for someone. And here is my wish. I hope he will always feel cold, no matter how many clothes he wears. I hope in the future when he wears thick shoes there will always be holes. I hope he will never feel full, even after eating. I hope in the future you will be tired and want to sleep, and it will always be a sleepless night. I hope that whenever you want to see your mother, you will never be able to. But the problem is, we are not like you. I really don't want those curses to happen to you. I hope you can reform. Well, in the near future, change your messy life right now, so your children can stay away from this lifestyle of yours in the future. Because everyone here knows you need help. Your actions not only put you in jail, it also makes my daily life feel like I'm in an invisible prison. One day you can leave your cell, but I can never leave my cell. And, importantly, you are still alive, but Jordan has no future. Thank you, Judge. We will end here. While the victim's family was speaking, the suspect looked disdainful and just smiled. Looking around, only through the screen one can imagine how sad and angry Jordan's mother was when she saw Dan's defiant attitude. However, after Dan's defense lawyer finished, he became even more arrogant and made the judges present unable to stand it anymore. They made a decision. That shocked Dan. Defendant Dan. Defendant. Do you have anything to say? I just want to say goodbye, Grandpa. I'm going home early because I love my family. That's all you want to say. Yes. Judge David S.H. couldn't take it anymore and yelled angrily, you know,